Alright, so I'm going to be replacing the thermal paste and putty or grease or pads, whatever they use on here, with this Thermal Grizzly Putty Pro and this PTM7950. Alright, so this is an ASUS ROG Republic of Gamers. Model is GA402R. Alright, so let's go ahead and get the screws out and get to it. Alright, so we're going to need a PH1 or JS1 screwdriver to remove the screws from the bottom. Alright, you want to keep the screws in order because they can be different size, shape, and lengths. The way I do that is I put them flat side down like that on my desk in the pattern I remove them. Okay, so let's go ahead and take these screws out. Okay, you don't want to mix them up. Oh, is it stuck in there? Yeah, you don't want to mix these screws up because if you do, there's a chance that you can actually damage the computer. So make sure to keep them in order. If they are the same length and stuff, then it's okay. But sometimes you can't tell, so that's why I always put it in the pattern I remove them. Alright, if this video helps you out, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share my channel with others so that they can learn how to upgrade and repair their devices as well. And if it helps you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. Okay, so we're just going to continue moving all these screws. Alright, if you can't help out that way, it would help a lot if you could watch a few of my other videos and then like and comment on those as well. And yeah, I also have another channel called It's Been Reviewed and More. If you could subscribe to that one, same profile picture but zoomed in, that'll really help me out. Alright, there's two little rubber things here hiding screws, so you gotta pull them up. I just use a small flathead screwdriver. Oh, whoever worked on this before, they actually tore this rubber. But anyways, I'll get under this one as well. They had some stickers on it from Central Computer, so I'm assuming that's who worked on it and damaged it. I don't know who cracked this though. It has some cracks there. Alright, the screw in the bottom corner, it actually stays attached to the case, and that's supposed to help you open this. I don't know if it will help this time because it's a crack, but yeah. The screws up here where the laptop opens are shorter than all the rest, so keep that in mind. Okay. Alright, let's go ahead and open the cover. So once you get the screws out, okay, it does still help pop it up a little bit. You can see it forms a gap there. So you just go under there. And I think normally it would be harder to open, but maybe they damaged the clips or something. I have another video, I think on a similar model, so you can check that one and see. Alright, so this is what the inside of this looks like. Oh no, I think I might have been mistaken. Is this liquid metal? Oh shoot, somebody already opened this. Okay, well, the fans are still a little dusty, so whoever worked on it, they left dust on it. I'm gonna clean it a little bit more if I can. So this is how I clean the dust off the fans, okay? You basically prevent it from spinning a bit, and then you kind of just brush it. And then after that, I use an electric air blower to blow the rest of the dust off. Okay. Oops, I should have done it before. Picture here, screenshot. Anyways, there's that. Okay, since we're going to be pulling the heatsink off, we do need to disconnect the battery because there's a lot of metal here that can cause some issues. So battery connectors here, I'll zoom in and show you that. Okay. The way you disconnect it is there's a little metal latch, slide that over. Okay, be careful not to slide it too far. Once you do that and it's no longer covering this white tab, just get underneath and then pull this white tab up. Alright, and now the computer is disconnected. After doing that, open up the laptop and then press and hold the power button for at least 15 seconds to drain any residual power. Alright, this makes it a lot safer to work on. Some people ask if they need to do this. It's 15 seconds. If you don't want to take 15 seconds to work on your computer, then don't work on your computer. Okay, so there you go, 15 seconds done. Alright, so we'll go over little components in here, just because we already have this open. So there's an M.2 PCIe NVMe SSD here. The screw's on this side. I'm not going to peel up the adhesive, but one screw, after you remove that, you can pull it up slightly and pull this out. Alright, it looks like there's an LED thing here. Was there's supposed to be an LED strip in here somewhere? I don't see anything. Okay, I don't know. I don't see anything there. But there's a port here. It says for LEDs. So maybe some models have some extra lights. Okay, speaker one's here. A cable goes along the bottom to the other speaker here. And then they both plug into the motherboard or logic board here. You have this little cable and this for the screen. So this is probably for like the cameras and microphones. And then you have the LCD connector here, which I just go underneath with my nail and pull it up. But it has this tab, but a lot of times this thing just tears off. You have a fan connector right there, which we're gonna disconnect because we're probably gonna have to take that out. Yep. You also have a stick of RAM here. So this is an 8 gig PC5, right? So pull those two tabs. It's an 8 gig PC5 4800B 4800B. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put this back in because we don't need to remove that. Alright, there's the keyboard connector underneath there with the little flip latch. The black portion, you flip that up to be able to take it out, but we're not taking that out. Alright, there's a few connectors here. I'm not taking the battery out of the computer, so I'm not sure for sure what's what, but this is most likely the touchpad, trackpad, and then this one's keyboard backlight connector. Usually if it's that color, it's a keyboard backlight connector. Alright, another fan connector here. And I think that's all there is. So let's go ahead and start taking stuff out. So the fan, we're going to go here, wiggle this, and pop that out. Okay. I'm thinking this is going to be liquid cooling, which I hate liquid cooling. It's a real pain to deal with. So I don't know, but we'll see. All right, we're going to pop these connectors out. I'm going to need to use a little tool to get this other one out, because it's so cramped here. So I'm going to use this and then kind of help push that while I push the other. You're basically just wiggling this connector like this. I don't know if you can see, but wiggling the connector, and there you go. Alright, so let's go ahead now and remove all the screws holding this thing in place. As you can see, someone already took some screws out, so I don't know. I hope they didn't cause any damage. I didn't even try powering it on, but yeah, hopefully it should be okay. Alright, so we got a screw here. Again, keep all the screws in order. That one, this one, and this one. Alright, do the fans come out separately? No, they're attached to the whole heatsink. And they're also held in with melted plastic here. So if you need to take the fans out, you actually have to cut some plastic pieces off. I don't like that design. Alright, we're going to undo these screws. They're spring loaded. If it becomes too hard to turn the screw, go to the next one, because since they're all attached to this one heatsink, you don't want to pull one up all the way, and then it will kind of pull it up and bend the heatsink. So go through, although it seems like they should be fine. Okay, they are spring loaded and they are attached to this piece. Alright, again, make sure that you did disconnect both fans. Get this guy out. Oh, we actually have to remove the, I might have to remove the screen cable. Let's see. Actually, there might be enough slack that I can just move it out of the way. That would be better, a better option. Okay. So the screen cable, they actually have it going over the top of the heatsink. Do they have anything here? No. Okay, so they actually have the screen cable going over the top of the heatsink. So you have to kind of peel this out of the way. Alright, and then we're going to go ahead and move this cable out, up and out of the way if we can. So kind of lift this up and pull this out to the side. Okay, yeah, I'm just going to pull it out of the way because if I don't want to pull these things out because sometimes you can have some issues happen. Pretty rare, but I don't want to take the little risks. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and lift this. If yours is stuck, it sometimes helps to kind of wiggle it side to side. So like kind of using this pipe and just doing this, okay? Wiggling it side to side to loosen up the old thermal paste and stuff. All right, you don't want to just pull straight up because then you can bend these pipes, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and go here. All right, make sure again that this gets out of the way. And it looks like we might have to slide it or something. It's stuck on something. Or is this cable kind of in the way? The cable might be in the way. Yeah, okay. Let's go ahead and disconnect this cable to get it out of the way. I'll zoom in here. Okay, again, there's this tab, but I never find it works well, so I get underneath with my fingernail and just pop it up like that, okay? As you can see, I barely even pulled on this. It was just to help keep it from falling down. All right, then we also have this connector down here, and there's some tape. So we're gonna peel that tape up. Actually, just that alone is enough. So we actually don't need to take out that little one. Let's go ahead and now pop the heatsink out. So this now you can see is out of the way. And now we can go ahead and lift this the rest of the way. What is it stuck to? No, it's stuck to something. There we go. Okay, and they do use liquid metal, and that's why it sucks. So liquid metal is very bad. When it heats up and stuff, when the laptop moves around, it tilts all over the place, and then yeah, it just gets what do you call, it doesn't get, well, if they did the shielding or this barrier right, you see this foam, it keeps it from going outside, but you do end up with the stuff flowing out away from the cores, and then it's not cooling properly. Let me see if I have some Q-tips somewhere to clean this up, because that's what works best. So yeah, I'll be back. Alright, so we're going to be using some cotton swabs and some Q-tips. Let's see if cotton swabs actually will work. So we have some cotton here, and let's see, I just want to try and pull up the liquid metal, okay? And I don't know, it's, you can see how it kind of comes up, but not quite. So, alright, I guess Q-tips it is. I was hoping I could grab more of it at once, but we basically have to swab all this stuff up out of the way. You see how it just kind of stays a ball? This is what makes liquid metal kind of dangerous. Oh, and this chunky stuff, that's because it dissolved the metal. You see that? Either that or the other person, they tried to clean it. Hold up, I need to clear stuff in my trash can so I can throw this stuff. So either that or the other person, instead of cleaning up the liquid metal, all they did was put some paste on top and then made the problem worse. You do need to clean this gunk off. Okay. Yeah, I don't know who thought liquid metal was a good idea here. It sounds good in theory, but it's a huge pain. You see these little droplets like going all over the place? You have to be very careful with that. Let me actually zoom into one specifically. So you have to be careful that those tiny little specks don't go onto the motherboard, or they can cause some damage. Alright. Basically gonna push all this stuff out. And as you can see, like, nothing really sticks to it, so you can't really even just pick it up. You need, I don't know, a syringe or something? I don't know. Let me see, I'm going to use 2 at once, and then I'm going to try and just use that to help pick it up. The thing is, you want to be careful not to drop it on anything. Okay, you can see I can kind of pick it up, but it's, you need to use just the right amount of force to grab it, and then be careful not to drop it on anything. So I'm going to try and roll it on top of it. Jeez, come on. Okay, here we go. Okay, yeah, liquid metal is dangerous stuff. It is not meant to be on this kind of thing. Alright, so we're kind of getting it all cleaned up. There's still little bits of it that I can't get out. Okay, but I'm gonna snap off that end of the Q-tip and toss it, because I don't want to accidentally drop any of that contamination on other stuff. Okay, I'm gonna check here because I do see a gray line around, so this is probably like, I don't know if it's thermal paste or if it's the metal that got eaten. If you only want your device to live for a little while, then go ahead, use liquid metal, but some stupid stuff. I do not approve. Okay. All this crusty stuff. And you don't want to get this stuff on aluminum because it has gallium in it and it can eat through aluminum. So you want to be very careful with what surfaces and what you let this stuff come into contact with. Okay, so we kind of cleaned it up. We're going to use some isopropyl alcohol afterwards to clean it better. Again, there's still some little specks, but it's impossible to get all of it out. I don't know. Normally I would use an air blower on these things, but I don't want to blow liquid metal into everything. Alright, there's dust here, so let's go ahead and clean that as well. The other end I'm actually going to take outside and then hold it over a trash can. It'll be easier, the heatsink side, because the heatsink, since it's small and there's no electronic components other than the fans, I can lift it out of the way and do that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do this side now. If you're wondering, this is the GPU and this is the CPU, okay? Again, be careful not to let it go over the edge. You do not want liquid metal going around the edge and into the CPU and stuff. The problem is this area, there's such a little narrow gap. Let me try with the stick portion, I don't know. It's wanting to go over the edge here. Yeah, I don't know if somebody added thermal paste on top of this, worsening the problem. It feels like that's what's going on here. Because instead of cleaning off the stuff, it looks like they might have put thermal paste on top of it. Oh, I just saw a little flake go over here. I need to make sure that doesn't get onto anything. Okay. I'll probably use tape to get that piece That was, I think, like the paste bits. You see these little paste bits? Does it fuse with this stuff? I don't know. All right, let's get another Q-tip. Actually, I can just cut this one in half. Oh shoot, this is, come on. Alright, let's go ahead and chisel out this gunk like on the other one. Okay. I don't know how I'm going to get that stuff out. And I think I just dropped a blob on the ground. Let me see. How am I going to pick it up? And this is why liquid mercury, like mercury, is such a bad thing to deal with, because it acts even worse than this. So this is gallium, liquid metal. It probably has other stuff in it as well, but yeah, liquid mercury, when it's melted, it's even worse than this, but this is already a huge pain, you can see. Alright. There's that. Where's that little speck that flew? Okay. Alright. Now we're going to go ahead and use a little isopropyl alcohol to help clean it up a little bit more. We're just going to put a little on the Q-tip and see if we can clean it up some with this. At least the paste residue. Since it does have the foam, then it's okay to kind of not get it 100%. It'll keep those little bits, just make sure it's in towards the center. Okay. And the main thing we need to cool are the CPU and GPU dies, so. Alright, so there's that. I'm gonna now get some paper towel with isopropyl alcohol. Oops. Okay. Paper towel and isopropyl alcohol. And just clean up the, excuse me, the CPU die and GPU die. Oh, sorry, if I'm not going in view of the camera, I keep forgetting I zoomed in so much. Okay, so we got some paper towel, and we're just gonna wipe the CPU and GPU dies. Normally I would use an air blower to get the lint and stuff out, but in this case I don't want to risk blowing any liquid metal into the computer, so I'm just gonna wipe it the best I can. And hopefully we got most of the lint out. Okay. All right, so there's the CPU and GPU. We're also gonna scrape off the putty stuff here because we want to replace that with the thermal Grizzly putty. So there's a little gunk on this square here and a tiny bit on that little chip. I don't know if those pieces actually need the stuff, but we'll do it. Okay. And this is the VRAM. We're gonna scrape this up. Okay. And we don't need to get all this putty stuff out. We just need to get as much as we can off the surface. So the stuff in the grooves aren't going to really affect anything. It'll actually just transfer the heat between the two chips or whatever these components are anyways. So, but if you want, try and clean it the best you can. Okay, I don't know if I can get in between. These things are super thin, narrow. I can get off some of it. These components are so close together that it pretty much acts as one piece. There's a very slight gap though. Okay. Same thing with this one down here. Keep dropping. Yeah, I'm just globbing it into my hand right now. Okay. Scrape up all that. And this putty shouldn't be electronically conductive, so it's not really an issue if it gets into all the little components. Unlike liquid metal, which will destroy everything that it comes into contact with. Yeah, I don't know who thought liquid metal would be a good idea. Alright, if you want to try and get like most of this gunk out that's stuck in between, you can use like a toothbrush. It helps. Alright, and we got this one left. scoop. All right. So we got most of that out. Again, we do need to clean this off as well. So, I mean, this, normally I'd just do it off camera. Oh, actually, the fan's not attached to the heatsink, I don't think. So, I think it's just because the adhesive's here. So you can remove the fan separately. Okay. Anyways, let's see, I gotta set this guy aside. Okay, so we're gonna have to clean this stuff up as well. Okay. There we go. All right, we still need to get this stuff out. Can you tell I hate liquid metal? Alright, so some stuff that's in the foam, we're probably going to end up just leaving it there, but we want to make sure that it can't glob into a big blob like this and then roll around inside the computer. We don't want that happening. Make sure it's not going on top of the foam. Okay, and then okay. Some of it's kind of leached into the foam. It's probably about as good as we're gonna get this. GPU, same thing. probably about as good as we're going to get that. Alright, let's go ahead and use some isopropyl alcohol to clean it up again. Alright, that's good. We can clean up the areas around it as well. So let's go ahead and do that first. And I don't want to contaminate the areas with the liquid metal, so I'm trying to stay away from that while I clean this. You can see how gross that is. Huh, why is that stuff not cleaning off? Okay, that's good. We can go ahead now and do the liquid metal areas. And be careful with the foam. You don't want to destroy the foam, and then whatever gunk is in there can get into everything else. Okay. So there we go. We got that all cleaned up. The fans have a little gunk in it. Since we have access to the back of the fans, I'm going to clean this up and I'll be back. Alright, I'm back. So I did make sure to clean the dust out. You can actually see the fins in there. They're pretty big, spaced out fins. Oh, here's the one of the fans removed. Okay, so they are removable or separatable. Oh, I don't know if it's going to go back on now. Okay, we'll set that aside for now. I separated the adhesive, actually separated, I think. Yeah, there's the tape that's holding it in place. So we're not going to separate that on the other one. I'm going to have to now stick this on with some new adhesive to keep it from separating. You see this? It's separated right here. So, oh, it was actually slightly perforated. So they actually make it so you can separate this. Interesting. Okay. But I'm going to have to put some new tape to hold it there again. Some people worry about like what type of tape. You can use any tape to do this, okay? You don't want a tape that just turns brittle though. So, yeah, usually packaging tape works well for this. Alright, so we're going to have the fan, and we just want to stick it back so it doesn't separate again on its own. Okay, and we're just going to stick that down there. Alright, so there we go. We have the heatsink all set up. We'll set that aside. We're going to now work on this. Again, there's a little bit of like the putty stuff in between these pieces, but as you can see, it's very difficult to get out. If you want, you can kind of brush all of this out. I'm going to do that over a trash can and see how much I can get out. Alright, I'll be back. Alright, so here you can see I cleaned it up the best I could. So you can see all of those are now cleaned up. All right, so let's go ahead and get the putty and paste, put that on, and then hopefully we should be good to go. All right. All right, sorry about that. While I was cleaning this, one of these little foam pad thingies came off, so I had to find it and then stick it back on. Anyways, let's go ahead now and do the PTM7950 and the putty. We do want to actually also clean up a little bit on these, the areas where we had to clean up the old putty paste, because, I mean, I cleaned it with a toothbrush to get most of the remaining stuff out, but I didn't wipe it down. Oops, I knocked the thing out again, that foam. So I'm going to have to put that foam piece back again, but let's go ahead and clean this. And try not to accidentally knock another one of those foam things out. Oh no, I just pulled it out. Okay, give me a second. Let me go find that foam piece again. Alright, I'm back. I stuck it back down there. Okay, anyways, let's go ahead and get the PTM7950, cut it to size, and yeah, then we'll continue. Alright, so the PTM7950 comes in a giant sheet like this. Depending what you get, there's different sizes. Alright, we want to just see and cut the same size as the piece that we're sticking it to. So we're probably going to have to cut a new one because these dies are larger than most ones I've worked on laptops. So let's see. One there. Okay. Yeah, even that's okay. What about this one? Oh, yep. I think we're gonna have to cut completely brand new rectangles here. That one's too big. That one's a little bit too big. This one, that's a little too big. Okay, we're just gonna cut completely brand new rectangles out of here. So the way I measure this is I just use a marker here, okay? And basically I want to find from this edge to the other, and then I'll draw a line. And then where the line ends is how long the chip is. So we'll do the same thing over here, go all the way up, and then we'll draw a little line there. And also I like to mark both sides here, so that way I make sure I pull the film off on both sides, okay? So we're gonna go ahead now. I'm gonna need some tweezers here. All right, and scissors. So now we're gonna go ahead and cut this thing out. So just cut that, and I'll just go straight along that line that I drew. All right, and then the same thing going this way. All right, and because the heatsink, it smushes down on it really hard. If it's a little bit too short, you don't need to worry. It'll actually smush it out and smear it. So anyways, I'm going to use some tweezers to separate the plastic film here. Okay, so what I like to do is I'll peel up a little portion of it. See if I can do this again and show you. So peel up a portion of it, hold that, and then use the tweezer to pinch it. Now that we got that, we can peel this end off. Okay, and then we're just going to line this up and stick it down. Just like that. Oh, I did put a little bit too long over there, but that's okay. They do have all this stuff, but this stuff doesn't have any issues with getting in the other electronic components either, so don't worry too much about it. All right, next we're gonna cut this big piece. Let's see, do we cut this big enough? Okay, this one is big enough, so we're gonna go this way. And then we're just gonna mark that. Okay, so we already know the other line is wide enough, so we're going to cut it that way. All right, so go here. All right, cut that, and then we'll cut this straight across. go. All right, and same thing, we want to mark both sides because we don't want to accidentally leave the thing on. It doesn't matter how you mark it, just make sure you mark something so you know to remove it. All right, and let's go ahead and peel this off now. All right, got a portion of it, grab that, peel the rest off. All right, and now we just stick this down. Trying to make sure there's no lint dust staying on there. And just drop that in place and stick that down. Okay, so we got those ready to go. Now we need to do the putty. All right, so the putty is going to take a bit of time to put. All right, it's a little bit tricky because it's so gloopy, so let me show you here. Okay, so we're gonna have to have the putty on all these little chips on this. Oops, I'm knocking this thing over again. Let me make sure this thing stays upright. This little foam pad's a little tricky. I was told that they don't really serve much of a purpose, so if you also knock these little foam pads off and lose them, you don't really need to worry too much about it, but I don't like to leave stuff missing in computers that I work on. Okay, we'll just stick that back on there. Okay. It's trying to twist, go weirdly crooked. I'm trying to straighten it. Sorry, I don't know if you were even able to see what I was doing. That little piece was coming out. All right, so we got the Thermal Grizzly Putty Pro stuff. Okay, I'm gonna need a glove here. Okay. All right, so I need a glove. So this stuff, it's very goopy, it like sticks to everything, so you gotta be careful. When you do this, it's gonna make a mess, you see. All right, so this is the Putty Pro. That's what it looks like. It's this gray stuff. All right, I'm gonna actually rotate this. Let me see, is it closer to me? I'm gonna rotate it so that the stuff is actually closer to me without all the battery and everything in my way. So we'll go this way. Okay, and now we just gotta put all the putty on this stuff. Let me move some stuff out of the way so I can put this a little closer. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and start putting the putty. So this one, it seemed like they had a very thin layer, so they don't put a huge amount. This is a extra large tub of the Putty Pro stuff. All right, and obviously I buy this because I work on so many computers, because the small one is like 40 something bucks. All right, and we're basically just gonna blob it across here. Oops, don't need it on all those other things. Okay, and then we're gonna have to smush it across. Is it gonna stay? It wants to come away from this. These little components here, it's not, they're very like slick, so the stuff doesn't want to really stick to it well. Makes it a little tricky to get this on. So usually I have to use this as like a pokey stick. All right. So basically use that, guide it to where I want, and then just poke at it. Okay. And we just gotta spread it all across the whole thing. Like this. Okay, we're gonna need a little bit more there. And since they had a putty before, and I don't know what the other people did, if it was always the same thickness, there wasn't really much of the putty on it when I opened it. So I'm actually putting more just to be safe, because I don't know if they lost or cleaned off some of it and then just didn't replace it. So we gotta make sure that the components are all covered here. So I'm putting about a 1 millimeter or so thick blob here. Okay, so there's that one. We gotta do these little chips down here as well. The thing is, I don't think I can just do little blobs on it. We'll try. So we'll try, because otherwise it will be on top of all the other gunk, and that'll be a little, if it needs to be removed, it's going to be a bit of a pain to clean up. So I'm going to try and just keep it on the chip if it'll stick and not. Okay. Oh, I'm probably going to have to use the other. So what I like to use, let me get these other things out of the way. I like to use this little pokey stick instead. Oh, I left one of those plastic films from the PTM. It fell onto the... Okay, so usually I'll have to use like this pokey stick, because otherwise it just sticks to it. And yeah, I put too much on here, so we're gonna take some out. Put it over there. Okay, and this is a very tedious process to try and get everything nice on here. Actually, instead of using this, I can use the back end of this one. Once it sticks on the component, then it's a little bit easier to move it around, but the initial, like getting it to stay down, somewhat of a pain. right, and we're just going to basically do that to every single one of these. So if you don't want to follow along, or you already did all of it, or you're using something else, go ahead and fast forward through. All right. All right. Add a tiny bit more to that one. It's hard to just grab a tiny bit. Oh, that's too much. Okay, that looks good. This one needs to be lined a little bit. Okay, that's good. Was it these two that needed it as well? I need to double check with the heatsink. So if this heatsink goes on there, no, it was these two. Okay. Well, I can actually see the old putty residue there. And then there's that really tiny one there. How can I even make a blob that small? We'll just put that on and it should be okay. Oh, that's way more than needed. How am I going to blob that onto there? Stay. There we go. All right. And we got this long bar over here. We also have the VRAM chips. That's probably more than enough. I'll have to take the excess off afterwards. All right. Let me double check one thing here. I'm looking at the heatsink to make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, so that should be just that. Oh wait, this piece. Yeah, okay, we should be good. All right. we can use this guy to kind of pat it more flat. And actually put a good amount on there, so that means the other one might need a little more. This is easier for doing it because it's more precise. Okay, I got this guy. Can't really see now. Okay. Put more on that one. Oh no. Oreo, hey. Shh. Okay. There we go. Okay, I think we're just about good for that. And let me see if I can show you here. Close up, that's what it looks like. Okay, now we gotta go ahead and put some on these, and then we're good to go. Oh yeah, we also did this little square thing up there, okay? Okay, let's go ahead and do these long ones again. Yeah, that was a very long, painful process. Too much, okay. And then we gotta smush this all down too. Okay, I need a little more. Okay. This out. Okay. Didn't mean to smush that up. Oh, I keep smushing it into there. Gotta make sure to pull it back out. Okay, looks good. Okay, now we gotta do the last little pieces here. Those are the painful ones. And then we're good to go. All right. Hey, stop bothering the other dogs. Okay, this one has too much. Hey. Oreo, stop being mean to the other dogs. No. Oreo, stop. No. Alright, well, I guess you guys are just gonna have a dog barking the whole time in the background. one. Maybe I should put them first so it kind of has time to stick. Oh, that's way too much. That's also too much. Alright, now we just gotta flatten it out, make sure everything is good. We should be good to go. All right, there we go. So now we got all of that on. Okay. All right, I think we got everything. Doesn't look like I missed anything. Let's make sure. Looks good. Okay. Looks good. Let's close this stuff up. Alright. Alright, we're done with the Thermal Grizzly Putty Pro and the stuff. We have to peel the extra layer off. Alright. Let's go ahead and get a picture here of all the paste on it now. Okay, so that's with the new paste. Let's go ahead now and peel off the other layer of this. Huh, it's wanting to peel up the PTM. There we go. And peel this side off as well. Okay, there we go. Alright, got all the putty open and ready to install the heatsink. So, the heatsink, again, just make sure it's all nice and clean. Alright, I'm going to flip this guy over. It's a little dusty on top. Alright, let's zoom out. Oops, sorry. And now we just got to get this back in. So, to get this back in, make sure to get this thing up and out of the way again. This will actually go underneath here. Okay, be very careful that you don't accidentally smush anything down here before you drop it. Did I get putty on this foam? Okay. So, yeah, and we're going to go ahead and get this in. Okay, we're going to tilt it backwards like this. And we got to tilt the whole thing, get the whole thing in there. Okay, and then slowly lower it down. Make sure everything is good. Make sure this isn't getting smushed. Oh. We do have to also get this wire under this piece here. There's a little hook there, so make sure you get the wire under there. Okay. And then slide the back of the heatsink in. Slowly lower it down. Make sure the screw holes here all line up. Good. Looks good. All right, and then we gotta screw everything back in. So, are these numbered at all? They are not. Okay. These aren't numbered, so we're just gonna go based off of a crisscross pattern. So I'm gonna, you hear I twist it backwards. You hear it click. Then we go ahead and I do that side. We'll do the same thing over here. Okay. Also make sure that these wires are out so that you can plug them in. Okay. All right. Now we'll go to this corner. Same thing. You hear it click. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're going to go over to this corner. Click. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This corner. click, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we did those 4. Now we're going to do this one. Click, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we'll go back here. 1, 2, 3. Okay, it actually tightened all the way. Then tighten that all the way. And then we'll tighten this one all the way. Then we'll tighten this one all the way. Tighten this guy all the way. This guy all the way. This one all the way. And this one all the way. The PTM7950 stuff, it does take a few like heat cycles. Heat up, let it cool down, heat it up, let it cool down for it to completely get its maximum cooling efficiency or thermal transfer efficiency. So keep that in mind. All right, we got the fan connector here. Line that up and then pinch that in. We got the other fan connector here. Okay, line that up. Also, if you're wondering, you see this, if you're replacing the fans, you see how on the bottom it has the metal pins exposed. Make sure that's face down. Usually they'll mark it with marker here so you can tell which side is face up. But if you get a fan and it doesn't have those markings, then that's how you would know. Okay, so we got all of that plugged in. Oh, don't forget the LCD LVDS connector here. That one's very important. Line that up. Click that down. Okay. And then make sure this wire all goes into the right place. Okay, so tuck that in here. There's another little hook here, so make sure that goes in there. Then this all follows that. You can go ahead and try and like tape that stuff back down. Okay, now we got the fan screws that we need to put back in, so let's go ahead and get those screws back in. Okay, sorry, we got the one up there. Got the one down here. And we got the one over here. Okay, you can tell we put plenty of the putty because it's actually oozing out the side there. So, yeah. This, they have like actually pretty tight tolerances. We put extra just to make sure. But they have it pretty close to the chips and stuff. So, you don't need a huge amount. Okay. Get all these screws in. Last screw for the inside here. Make sure that it's not going and smushing this cable, okay? You don't want to damage the screen cable putting the screw in. Okay, make sure everything else is good. Now we're going to go ahead and push the battery connector back down. Okay, and then slide the metal piece back over the top. We should now be able to just power it on and it should work okay. All right, so we'll flip this over. And why is it all black there? Okay, let me clean that up a little bit. Okay, has some gray stuff on it. Let's see if that will clean off. You can usually use isopropyl alcohol for stuff like this. Let me use this bigger bottle. Okay, we'll wipe that off. Clean off any gross stuff there. Okay, there we go. Ew, look at that. Okay, clean this up as well. Alright, let's see. Let's clean the table a little bit. I see gray stuff on there as well. That stuff doesn't clean off my table. Okay. Alright, let's go ahead and power this thing up and see what we got. So, I don't know what the temperatures were before. The customer said it was overheating. Hopefully they checked the temperatures beforehand. Okay, I do see the power light is on. Usually when you disconnect the battery, because it also acts as the CMOS BIOS RTC real-time clock battery, It's going to take a while to start up. Usually it will power cycle a few times. Just make sure that that light is on, okay? And it is. So we just got to wait a while. If for some reason after waiting even like 10-20 minutes it doesn't come up, then it might be the RAM. Double check the RAM. But yeah, also if you left anything disconnected, you want to of course make sure that nothing is left disconnected. Okay, I still see the power light is on. The fan's not doing anything. Everything is connected. Yep, so we'll just have to wait. We'll keep waiting. Alright, let's see. Power light is still on. I do see the keyboard. It's green right now. So hopefully it's just doing its usual power cycle thing. Let me turn off the lights here so we can see. Alright. And it's just a green keyboard with the power light. So I don't know. We'll see. Sometimes it might be, I'll have to double check the RAM if it doesn't come up after a few minutes. So yeah, I'll let it sit here for a bit, and then if it turns on, oh, actually it's turning on already. Okay, so there you go. So they always like to scare people with that. Okay, caps lock light's good, and this looks good. All right, so we're just gonna go ahead and exit this. F10. Save and exit. We didn't change anything, and hopefully it will just boot normally. I didn't change any other hardware. We just redid the thermal paste, so it should boot to Windows unless some BIOS setting. Oh, okay, it looks good. All right, so that should be it. Hopefully this video helped you guys out. We're gonna put the bottom cover back on. If it did, again, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share my channel with others so that they can learn how to upgrade and repair their device as well. And if it helped you save a bunch of money, again, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. Again, if you can't help out that way, it would help a lot if you could watch a few of my other videos and then like and comment on those as well, because that's what the algorithm likes to see. Again, I also have another channel called It's Been Reviewed and More. Same profile picture, but zoomed in. If you could subscribe to that channel, that'll really help me out. All right, anyways, let's go ahead and let me see. Why is the brightness so low? Where's the brightness button on here? Do they not have? Oh, okay. So one thing I recommend after doing any big hardware changes is to restart the computer. We technically didn't change any hardware, but we did disconnect and reconnect a whole bunch of stuff, so sometimes that can do weird things if you don't do a restart on the computer. So it's always a good idea to restart the computer one time. Alright, so that's pretty much it. Again, let's go ahead and get the bottom cover back on. The computer's restarting itself. We will shut it down after that process completes, and then we will get the bottom cover on properly. Okay, why is it taking so long? It's like taking a while to do a restart. Interesting. Alright, we'll let it do its thing. I think it's still doing something. There we go. Okay. So, yeah. Now we'll wait for it to start up completely. We'll shut it down, and then we should be good to go. Alright. Are the fans even spinning? The fans aren't spinning at all. It's getting warm. It's not hot yet. Alright, this isn't touchscreen. Alright, anyways. We'll shut this down. I'm going to ask the customer if they want me to log in and do a stress test on it. But other than that, we should be good. Alright, so we'll close this up. The fans aren't spinning. And yeah, we'll just get the screws back in, and that's pretty much it. Alright. So the way you get the bottom cover back on, just line it up, push everything down. Usually it's best to push towards the center as you push down to get the clips into place. Again, someone else worked on this before me, so I don't know what they did with it before. But yeah, we'll get all the screws back in, and that's all there is to it. You're welcome to stay as I do that, but I'm sure you know how to put screws back in, right? Alright, screws all in there. Also, like the other ones, I like to usually twist it backwards to feel it click before I tighten it down. That's a way to make sure that the screws aren't going in crooked or anything, or cross-threading and then damaging the threads. Another way you can tell is usually it should be really easy to turn the screws the first time. If you feel a little resistance, that means it's not going in the right way. Okay, but I find the best way to check is just to twist it backwards, feel it click a little, and then tighten it down. All right, last screw. Let's get the little rubber thingies back in there. And that's all there is to it. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. All right, let's drop this. Bye.